Morning light filters through the blinds, but for some, it's just another reminder of an ending that never came. Before we get into the topic, we must warn you that some of the images may be a bit unsettling. Having said that, let us proceed. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger, a face you know is yours but feels utterly empty. The reflection moves when you move, but you feel no connection. It's as if you're a ghost, haunting your own body. For those with a rare condition, this isn't a metaphor, it's their reality. They touch their skin and feel nothing. Their heartbeat is dismissed as a mechanical trick. The world continues, vibrant and noisy, but they watch from a distance, convinced they're already dead. Food has no taste, sleep brings no rest. Every sensation is filtered through the belief that they are a walking corpse. How do you explain to loved ones that you no longer exist? Their reassurances fall on deaf ears. This detachment is total, a silent existence in the shadow of a life that feels like a distant dream. The world is for the living, and they feel exiled from it. Even breathing feels like a lie. The warmth of a hug is a cruel reminder of lost vitality. They aren't simply depressed, they describe a literal truth, that in their mind, they are the living dead. Their journey is solitary, through a landscape of profound nothingness. Every day is a silent scream from a body that keeps moving, even as the mind insists it's already gone. This is Cotard's delusion, a haunting belief that warps every aspect of daily life. Cotard's delusion, or le délire de négation, is a rare disorder where people believe they are dead, don't exist, or are decaying. The name comes from Jules Cotard, a French neurologist, who described a woman convinced she had no organs and starved herself to death. Cotard saw this as a new form of melancholic depression, where the mind denies its own reality. Patients may believe they're immortal, but only because a corpse can't die twice. Over time, doctors realized Cotard's isn't a standalone illness, but a symptom of severe psychiatric or neurological conditions. It sits at the far end of the spectrum of detachment, where feeling unreal becomes a fixed literal truth. Mademoiselle X, Cotard's original patient, remains a chilling example of how the mind can negate its own existence. The delusion leads to passive self-destruction, as the person rejects all needs and connections. It's a fatal, self-fulfilling prophecy, a testament to the mind's power to erase itself. Cotard's delusion symptoms range from mild unreality to the absolute conviction of being a corpse. At its core is the belief that parts of the body or the self no longer exist. This leads to extreme self-neglect. Hygiene, eating and drinking become pointless. Some stop speaking, withdrawing into silence, waiting for their body to catch up with their mind's reality. Others seek proof of their death, visiting morgues, requesting funerals, or even harming themselves to test their immortality. These acts aren't suicidal in the usual sense, they're desperate attempts to validate a terrifying belief. Some believe they're damned, responsible for the world's suffering, trapped in a personal hell. The guilt is crushing, and the isolation complete. Their reality becomes a closed loop of despair and negation. The delusion is not just a symptom, it's a prison. For those inside, there is no escape, only the endless echo of non-existence. It's a lonely, terrifying existence, cut off from the world and from themselves. Real cases reveal the devastation of Cotard's delusion. Graham, after severe depression, believed his brain was dead. He stopped eating, felt nothing, and spent his days in cemeteries. Brain scans showed his brain activity was as low as someone in a vegetative state. His belief had a physical echo. Another case. A woman, after a comment about her smell, became convinced she was rotting and demanded to be taken to a morgue. She withdrew from life, refusing food and contact, her delusion absolute. In Iran, a man's delusion began after heartbreak. He believed he was dead, then a wolf, then poisoned, and finally that he was in hell. He was found malnourished and alone, lost in his own mind. These stories aren't just medical oddities, they're human tragedies. Each case is a mind untethered from reality, lost in a void of non-existence. The triggers can be small, a comment, a loss, but the consequences are profound. Families are left helpless, unable to reach their loved ones through the fog of delusion. The suffering is real, and the path back is long and uncertain. Cotard's delusion is a reminder of how fragile our sense of self truly is. It can strike anyone, given the right storm of circumstances, and when it does, it leaves devastation in its wake. The causes of Cotard's delusion are complex, a mix of psychiatric and neurological factors. It often appears alongside severe depression, where the world and self feel lifeless and unreal. The brain, desperate for explanation, concludes, "I must be dead." Neurological injuries, strokes, tumors, head trauma can disrupt the brain's sense of self. Damage to the frontal and parietal lobes or disconnection between the fusiform gyrus and amygdala can make even your own face feel unfamiliar. The mind tries to make sense of this emptiness, landing on the terrifying idea of non-existence. Schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and epilepsy can also trigger Cotard's. Ultimately, it's a catastrophic failure of perception, a brain so scrambled it erases the self. The intricate network that creates our reality breaks down, leaving only the void. Cotard's is not just a delusion, it's the collapse of the very blueprint of being. The result is a living death, born from the brain's own confusion. Treating Cotard's is challenging. Patients often refuse help, convinced they're already dead. Hospitalization is often necessary to prevent fatal self-neglect. Treatment combines antidepressants, antipsychotics, and mood stabilizers to address the underlying illness. Progress is slow, the delusion is deeply rooted, and takes time to unravel. For severe cases, electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, can be life-saving, rapidly restoring a sense of reality. ECT reboots the brain, sometimes bringing dramatic improvement when nothing else works. Psychotherapy helps patients process their experience and rebuild their sense of self. Early intervention is crucial. The longer the delusion lasts, the harder it is to treat. Recovery is possible, but it requires patience, compassion, and persistence. The goal is not just to end the delusion, but to guide someone back to life itself. Cotard's delusion forces us to confront what it means to be alive. Our sense of self is fragile, a story the brain tells itself, easily disrupted. When that story breaks, the mind can conclude it no longer exists. The disorder is a stark reminder of the biological roots of consciousness. Those who suffer are not choosing their beliefs. They're trapped by a malfunctioning brain. Their stories call for compassion and better mental health care. Cotard's shows us the void on the other side of self-awareness and the miracle of simply feeling alive. It's a call to cherish existence and to help others find their way back from the darkness. Thank you for joining us in the All Abilities Corner as we continue to shed light on the world of psychological disorders. See you next time.